You know we be with it, we off in the hood like some wizards. Nobody ever gave us anything. Meant something from nothing, just like magicians. Gotta relearn everything. Just to remember that I was forgetting. Just to remember that we had a vision. Did it all, don't know how I did it. Time to go star season to go and you know those crystal truths. Let them know we in here, yeah, we in the building. Star season to go and you know those crystal truths. Back up in the matrix, yeah, we know the vision. Star season to go and you know those crystal truths. Let them know we in here, yeah, we in the building. Star season to go and you know those crystal truths. Back up in the matrix, yeah, we know the vision. Off on the mission, you know how it goes. Off in the system, they turn up their nose. They took all the soil, but they didn't know. Through the concrete, you see the ropes. Eyes ain't open, don't mean I ain't woke. Ain't got no cash, don't mean that I'm broke.
Welcome, 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 and welcome. Ascending beyond limitations. A deep dive into you. I know you want to look upon the stars and say, oh, I want to know everything from that aspect. That's where the divine wants me to find everything. I want to find the brightest star and I want to look upon it and I want it to give me a download. But you are the star. You were created with all the gusto. That's the right word, gusto. All the joy of the universe. Oh, magnificent. You have all that stardust in you. And you just have to deep dive into it and ask it your embodying question. And that's so, it can be so very scary. It can be. It's a question that's asked with an unknown answer until you listen to the answer from inward. So now you're not understanding, you're understanding. Let's attune ourselves to the creative impulses that dwell inside us and that seek to express in, through, and as us. Let's live to express our essential creativeness by performing every act mindfully, spiritually, wholly, and embody. Let's allow our mind to understand that we are body, mind, and soul, experiencing or expressing however you choose. Let's take a deep dive into us. Hi, Marcus. Welcome. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Why, thank you. Thank you. I'm glad to be here. Very glad to be here. Thank you. And thank you for that wonderful introduction, Sandee. I really appreciate the way that you open these spaces and help us attune to the soul within and open ourselves up to the knowledge and the wisdom of Ra from the 6-dimensional form to give us a higher perspective of our 3rd-dimensional human perspective. And as above, so below. You know, wow, as above, so below. What a beautiful, beautiful stream of energy we have in this week to 2 week period. We have 11/11 taking place. Then we have the beautiful, beautiful transition of the planet Pluto entering Aquarius. And for those of us that are astrology junkies or into astrology and anything else of universal signs, a little bit about Pluto is the planet of death, transformation, and rebirth. Also connected with Scorpio and some other signs as well. So with that being said, it's coming into Aquarius. Aquarius is an air sign. Aquarius is about logic, very quick and quantum level thinking, as well as creativity and inspiration. And that also, it is information and open source information is what Aquarius is. And with this being said, we're going to have Pluto moving into Aquarius on the 19th of this month. And this will be staying there until around 2044. With that being said, this is going to be the first time in 250 years since the Industrial Revolution that Pluto will be in Aquarius for this time period. So this means revolutionary energy is bound on our planet in one form or another, in parallel and multi-dimensional ways. We are transforming beautifully as a collective here together. And we came here for these times. We came here to be together, to be able to experience and perceive through our own souls, our own individual experience of this shift and journey, while also sharing it collectively. So as above, so below. I know we may be feeling some things inside of us. I know we may be feeling some things changing around us. And I know we may be seeing some things changing in bigger landscapes that we see in the world as well. I welcome you to embrace the change with an open heart, with trust and faith in your wholeness and your connection and guidance with the source. And just know that in these periods, it will always ultimately be up to you as the sovereign I am soul, and what your intentions, focuses, and actions deploy into this holographic matrix of reality that we exist in. So may we remember, and if we may, reclaim back and call in any cords of energy to our being and to our space that we may be having attachments with, to illusions or energies outside of our field that could be draining or imbalancing our field. May we embrace unconditional love and wholeness through all figures, all levels, all classes, all money, all looks, all genders. Embracing the unification that I am. Ashe. And back to you.
Ashe. Let the sun shine. Talk about Aquarius, right? Let the sun shine in. The sun shining. Right? You are the light. You're the sun. Even the moon gives light. When you were born, you brought the realm, or as some may say, the kingdom of heaven on earth. You were the kingdom. Your birth held it. It heralded it. You were the light. We all were the light. We just came in these casings. in this form. Let the sun shine in. You're the shine. You're the shift.
Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine.
And it's not, I know the song, you used to the song, this little light of mine. No, this grand light of mine, this glorious light of mine. Let it shine. Let it express. Let it live. There's so many ways to say, let it be so. So many ways. Are you ready to deep dive? I'm ready. And here we go. This is session 46. It was shared April 15th, 1981. Ra says, I am Ra. I greet you in love and in light of the one infinite creator. We communicate now. The questioner begins. If an entity polarizes towards the service to self path, would anger have the same physical effect that it would have on the entity polarizing on the service to others' path? Would it also cause cancer, or is it just a catalytic effect working in the positively polarity entity? So the polarizing entity, is it just for that entity? Is it because of just that one entity? Will it have the same effect to someone, to a higher being that's choosing to go service to self at the cost of all others? They don't think about anybody else. They're all about control. Me, the little me, or service to self, knowing that in service to other selves, you're service to yourself because you're part of the wholeness. Ra says, I am Ra. The catalytic, I'm sorry, I'm excited. Oof. Let me slow my roll.
Slow down over there.
The catalytic mechanisms are dependent not upon the chosen polarity of a mind-body-spirit complex. That's us. Remember? Ra is a social complex. The whole beingness of everything that is the planet Venus and all entities merged into one social complex. We're still mind, body, soul complexes. Just to remind you, take what resonates, leave what doesn't. So Ross says, but upon the use, it's based on the use and or purpose to which the catalyst is put. So the catalyst can start something, but it's about how we, the individual mind-body complex, chooses to use it. Ra goes on to say, thus the entity which uses the experience of anger to polarize consciously, positively or negatively, does not experience the bodily catalyst, but rather uses the catalyst in mental configuration. So if you're having a trigger, it's not necessarily the person that's presenting the trigger by what they're saying or what they're doing. It's how we perceive the trigger to us. If it rocks our world, it's in us that's being rocked. The trigger that somebody's saying is just the catalyst. Take what resonates, leave what doesn't. Because there's an infinite possibility of you learning it many, many different ways. You're going to learn it one way, and somebody else is going to learn it another way, and it's going to work for you individually. But there is service to self, which only includes yourself and what you need to get at all cost. You don't care about who you hurt or who's in your way or who you need to control. It's all about service to self. And guess what? The divine says that's an infinite possibility. Why? Because it's part of 3D. It's part of choice. Our higher beings get to choose that. They came with free will too. Our body mind isn't the only entity that gets to have free will. Body, mind, and soul, or higher being or spirit, gets to have free will choices too. Our higher being gets to choose from the multiple array of positive polarity or negative polarity. Okay, so then the questioner asks, I am not sure that I understand that. Let's take some examples. An entity polarizing towards the negative path becomes angry. Let's take the condition where he develops cancer. What is the principle that is at work for him? I am Ra. We see the thrust of your query and will respond at variance with the specific query if that meets your approval. Questioner, certainly. Ra says, the entity polarizing positively receives the anger. The entity, if using the catalyst mentally, blesses and loves this anger in itself, and then intensifies this anger consciously in mind alone until the folly of this red ray energy is perceived not as folly in itself, but as energy subject to spiritual entropy, right? Taking it in and discerning it, because it's due to the randomness of energy being used. Positive orientation then provides the will and faith to continue this mentally intense experience, or letting the anger be understood, accepted, and integrated with the mind, body, spirit complex. The other self, which is the object of anger, is thus formed into the object of acceptance, understanding, accommodation, all being reintegrated using the great energy which anger began. So Ra here is talking about alchemizing. You got to feel the feeling. I know it's an easy thought to spiritually bypass the human application application and expression of being human, but there's a teach, learn, and a learn, teach in this the catalyst. The catalyst could be just simply having the common cold, waking up with your head stuffy, your nose stuffy, you feeling all achy. And you can do either one or two. You can either complain, have a negative reaction to it and stay in that, or you can say, what is this teaching me this morning? Not everybody's going to be right there in that, but it's a possibility. The other self, which is the object of anger, is thus formed into an object of acceptance, understanding, and accommodation, all being reintegrated using the great energy which anger began. The negative-oriented mind-body-spirit complex will use the energy in similar conscious fashion, refusing to accept the undirected or random energy of anger, and instead, through will and faith, funneling this energy into a practical means of venting the negative aspect of this emotion so as to obtain control over other self, or otherwise control the situation through anger. Control is the key. Remember, this is Ross speaking. Control is the key to negatively polarized use of catalysts. Accepting or acceptance is the key to positively polarized use of the catalyst. Between these polarities lies the potential for this random and undirected energy, creating a bodily complex analog of what you call the cancerous growth of tissue. You can have that moment of saying, why me? It's okay. But how long are you going to be in it? Because if you're in it from a negative point of view, then basically Ross says that gives the opportunity of the polarity of cancer to grow. Take what resonates, leave what doesn't. You don't have to go with that. But the catalyst that is for the learning is maybe going, just like I did, for a mammogram. It was just a mammogram, and then finding something and sharing it with me. Now, I did not go through the catalyst of why me, but I tried to spiritually bypass it. And then I said, what am I doing? It took me a minute to catch myself. What am I doing? I'm telling other people that they have to feel a feeling and then move through it. Okay, back up, Sandee. That this is a catalyst for learning or discerning. So what's my question? Well, my question isn't why me. It wasn't why me. It was why now. Not a negative question. Could be if I had done that question in anger. If I had settled for this being like the end all be all. Do you see how Ra is saying it? Situations and circumstances, whether they be physical or mental or even a tad bit spiritual, if they're a catalyst for learning and growing, expanding and evolving, it depends on how you take it in, how you process it, how you alchemize it, how you transform it. Back to you, Marcus.
So the concept of past lives and soul contracts are deeply interconnected and together form a framework for understanding the soul's journey, our growth, and evolution across multiple lifetimes.
Inhale, rising your pranam up to the sky. As you exhale, circle sweep your arms out wide as if you're reaching to either side with your fingertips, reaching down to the earth. Inhale up from the earth through your central channel, up through the sun, And then
This is our main manifestation center. And this is our main projector for the reality and perception that we experience. So through the third eye chakra, this is where we project our simulated reality from within us into the world.
Frequencies of peace and presence in each now moment, even when we stumble. Allowing new versions of us to birth through each present moment.
So that right there was just a little bit about the 1111 workshop that I hosted on Monday. And it was a collaboration of about 4 different wonderful healers and psychics. And we did some yoga. We talked about soul contracts, and we talked about the sacral and the third eye chakras and how they relate to manifestation. Then I also did a little bit of violet flame cleanse. And then we finished with some singing bowl healing. So if anybody out there would like to tap in and watch that in full, I am accepting donations and emailing it out to people that would like to watch it through donation. Also, there's gonna be a lot more future events coming, so I just wanted to fill you guys in and let you know and be aware. And yeah, wow, I'm just, this knowledge from Ra is something about it where I feel like there's no debating within me when I hear these messages. And wow, it never fails, the timing of what's said. And I gotta say, I love the continuous reminders throughout of just reflecting that power back to self, and just those reminders of, you know, the mental power that we have, the mentalism of, you know, our focus, and the way that we're perceiving. And it's truly amazing too how there's like a clear demonstration as well of how guidance works, and how, you know, these guides really do not overstep the free will. And it's so fascinating to hear the answers that Ra gives whenever that is kind of put into place for him to do, or for it to do, if it was to do it. And I don't know, this stuff just fills me up. I'm ready for some more.
It fills me up too. I just this is the perfect read to end book 2. I'm just saying. That's all I got. That's all I can say is I'm just saying, right? Because I can use myself as an example, right? So, and I love that, you know, and the divine through Ra is saying, hey, you're ready to share a little bit, right? So let's keep going. So the questioner has another question. The questioner says, then, as I understand it, you are saying that if the positively polarizing entity fails to accept the other self, or if the negative polarizing entity fails to control the other self, either of these conditions will cause cancer, possibility. Is this correct? I am Ra. This is partially correct. The first, acceptance or control, depending on polarity, is of self. Anger is one of many things to be accepted, and love as a part of self, or control as a part of self, if the entity is to do the work. Did you hear that? When you're in anger, Ra's not saying not to feel it. You can find out that you've been sitting here in third density and you're starting to see and feel through fourth density consciousness or fifth density consciousness. It doesn't mean you stop living life and you have no emotions or thoughts about what you like or you don't like, how you feel about what's going on in your life. It means that you feel them, and then what level are you going to take it to? That's what helps you to understand if you're in a negative polarity state, or if you're in a positive polarity state. And then you get to decide, as body, mind, and soul, or higher being, a spirit, soul, and body and conscious mind, if you believe that you're all of those. I'm coming into the realm of that I'm all of that. And my higher mind has to understand the things that I'm feeling about being in this body and expressing through body and consciousness. And the only way that my higher being is going to understand how I feel about what's going on with me right now is if I have that moment of feeling it. And then having a discerning moment of where I want to go from there. In the teach learn aspect of me. All right, so Rod tells us that it's partially correct. The first acceptance or control, depending on polarity, is of the self. It doesn't matter whether the polarity is negative or positive. The first perspective of the situation, circumstance, or the catalyst is how self takes it in and addresses it, and then where self takes it in the next step. Anger is one of many to be accepted and loved as a part of self, or control as a part of self, if the entity is to do the work. You have to engage in control, and you have to engage in love. That means that from your root chakra, your sacral, your solar plexus, most people skip the heart chakra because they're told, what's love got to do with making the right decision for you? They skip especially men. Put your feelings aside. This is no time to be wishy-washy, because they want to skip the heart chakra. It's okay for you to have it's okay for you to have a feeling. It's okay for you to have an emotion about self, yourself in a certain situation or circumstance, how it makes you feel, because that tells you where you're going to take it next. The questioner then asks, then are you saying that if a negatively polarizing entity is unable to control his own anger, or unable to control himself in anger, that he may cause cancer? Is this correct? So you see, the questioner asked this again. right? Ross said, this is quite correct. The negative polarization contains a great requirement for control and repression. You've heard it. That we resist will persist. The more we resist something, the more it persists. Because we're putting a lot of energy to pushing it away. The question says, a repression of what? Ross says, any mind complex distortion which you may call emotional, which is of itself disorganized, needs, in order to be useful to the negative oriented entity, to be repressed and then brought to the surface in an organized use. Thus you may find, for instance, negative polarized entities controlling and repressing such basic bodily complexes as a sexual desire, or in order that in the practice thereof the will may be to use force or enforce itself upon the other self, which greater efficiency when sexual behavior is allowed. So some people spend a lot of time pushing it back and resisting until what happened? You answer that for yourself. There are many infinite possibilities when people are told that sex is a bad thing. So when a catalyst shows up that can push the desire of sex, and you're pushing it away because it's a bad thing, what happens? Eventually, the catalyst wins. Because get it again. It's not because you necessarily want to be a bad person. It's because you're using negative polarizing energy to push something away constantly. The universe has no recourse but to say, your wish is my command. Let this be so. And a situation or circumstance shows up in a new catalyst that gives you an opportunity to dive further into the negative polarizing event. Take what resonates, leave what doesn't. The questioner asks, hold on, I skipped one. Thus you may find, for instance, negative polarized entities controlling or repressing such basic bodily complex needs as the sexual desire, in order that in the practice thereof will be used to force or enforce itself upon the other self. Or that means, come on, let's say it, rape. Right? Okay. So we just understand that's one catalyst. There are many others. Right? The questioner says, then the positively oriented entity, rather than attempting repression of emotion, would balance the emotion as stated in an earlier contact. Is this correct? Ross says this is correct and illustrates the path of unity. That means that however you can say you're having these thoughts, you're having these thoughts and just say, I was raised to believe that these thoughts were sinful, and I don't want to be of a sinful nature, and how can I sit down and think of and address this with positively? Do I need to talk to somebody? Do I need to go sit and many things? Have a meditate. Do I need? What do I need? Who do I want to be in this next moment with this situation or circumstance? If you have a question now, ask the question. Hi, Jessica. Ask the question. I'm going to take a pause. Back to Marcus and ask a question. Even if it's just you going within. I love how Ra talks about the positive polarity and the negative polarity. And how Ra is not talking about one is right and one is wrong. Our higher beings were given the gift of being able to maneuver between these two as it merges back to the divine. And guess what? The divine has a perfectly in sync process for everyone's higher being to express in the positive polarity and the negative polarity. Back to you, Marcus.
Wow.
Wow.
You know, it's very interesting when you think about what you were speaking on there, and you think of one of the Hermetic principles, the law of rhythm. The law of rhythm states that what must swing one way must swing back the equal and opposite way. So that's a prime example of the law of rhythm right there, of what you were describing. Now, what is the key for anybody out there in the comments? What is the key in the alchemy teachings of the Hermetics when it comes to being a self-master of the law of rhythm, of self? And
Tell us, Master, what is the key?
as Jesus would say, I am no master.
But you are the master,
But
and you are the student.
that's right. Always a student too. But they say that the key to bringing balance to the law of rhythm is to remember and realize that you already are whole and that you are the I am. And when you remember that, and the more that you embody that, the more that you program that into your being, then rather than being swayed by the tides of the poles, when we say the poles, we're talking about the pole of degrees of the different vibrational rates of experience, as well as duality. So the more that we are in center and in balance, and some key ways of doing that with our multidimensional human being is through grounding, balancing our chakra centers to make sure that our prana and our energy life force is able to flow through us fluidly. And along with that, clearing out attachments These attachments can be mental attachments to memories and experiences. This could also be attachments emotionally, energetic attachments to relationships, to those that are around us that are unconsciously or consciously polluting our energy field, as well as clearing out distortions and fears and triggers. Oh, triggers. Man, triggers are a whole nother topic. And something I've been finding very powerful lately with these triggers is remembering that in the moment of triggers, those are opportunities to be able to heal. They're opportunities to be able to release what is being brought to the surface. And wow, when you remember that in that moment, I swear that is one of the most exciting feelings. It's when you're just like, you catch it and you're like, oh man, wow, I did not fully give into this. I felt it, but I was able to consciously grab onto it and be like, you know what? I feel this and I'm grateful for it. But I no longer want to hold on to this. There's more for me to experience. There's more for me to feel. And there's more for me to perceive and even view this other person in a different way outside of this experience. And that feeling, it has been so good. I tell you what, so good. So along with
Yummy.
Something that's also been very interesting is when you think about the way that our electromagnetic field and quantum mechanics works is, like with the resisting type of thing. So it's interesting. I've really seen for myself what it means now, like two sides of the coin. So it's like you can either, be resisting something so much that it can cause a blockage or can cause resistance and pushback into your life. Or you can be so detached from things that you basically become disassociated from reality in your physical life. And wow, it's so interesting, seeing those two kind of like sides of the same coin and how you can be in those contrasts. So then again, like where balance comes in is like, where do you find your authentic balance of, sitting back and observing and then inputting and putting action into your life? It's a very wonderful dance. And it's been very interesting as well because I'm in this fresh space of about a week and a half now of no longer delivering and working a job. And it's interesting, the recalibrating of my being, because my being is used to mentally, emotionally, kind of surrounding my mentalness around a schedule and being somewhere on time and having to be doing certain things during those time periods and stuff. And the reason why I'm bringing this up is because it's a little insight into just reminders and reflection of, what it can be like to go through the process of stepping into your independent business or stepping into your independent entrepreneurship. And it's came with triggers, it's came with shadows, it's came with a lot of little subtle fears and past versions coming up. And It's been amazing being that ninja and slicing through the shadows. It's very empowering. And I'll tell you one thing, it's an integration process. And I kind of want to emphasize it a little bit more, and I probably will talk about it more in other spaces, is the process of transitioning and what it can look like for us. You know, there's mental things that, for me, I really did have to address within these last 2 weeks. And those mental things were just like, you know, am I truly ready to do this? Or, you know, am I going to have enough money? Or am I going to have fear surrounding money? Am I going to feel like I need to go back when I get low on money? Or am I going to have trust and faith in my own abilities to create those ways to make the money? And along with that, you know, the emotional side of it, feeling emotionally slightly attached to living a traditional workforce life. And then that recalibration of your emotions and your nervous system in the sense of, oh, I don't have to get up and surround my day around this work schedule. Or, oh, I don't need to be go, go, go and on my toes for 7 hours in a row while in this building with artificial lights and foods that don't resonate with me and all these other things that I don't really fully want to be in. So that's an adjustment as well. It's like recalibrating to grounding into just being home and fully surrounding my day around just freedom, basically. And it's interesting because those are prime spaces for our old patterns to come up, is when we're in these in-between transitions. Because sometimes we feel like maybe we're a little lost of, you know, what we're in routine with due to that change. And that's when I notice, you know, studying myself and others throughout time, is those are those prime times where like old patterns start to slip through because of that sort of stagnancy that we're in. And what I've noticed is the more that I've continued to clear myself and continue to keep myself balanced and activated, I'm starting to really pick up when these start to come up now. And I just really encourage us to try to find ways to, I don't want to say like prove those thoughts wrong, but find ways to show those thoughts, you know, the opposite, or find ways to show those thoughts that, yes, you can do these things and you are doing these things, and continue to feed that and focus on it. And what I find is that I get then drawn into the energy of that the more I focus on it and continue to do actions towards it. And then that become my timeline and my pathway. And then the more you continue to feed that through your actions and thoughts, and you know, sometimes it is having those thoughts of what's not physically in front of you yet, and just having that dream and vision, imagination, and telling yourself, you know, that you are on your way to that, or you feel it coming into your space, or that you know it's coming because you're doing the steps. Those reminders, I feel like, are very subtle, you know, very small type of things. But man, those daily reminders helps train the subconscious, helps reprogram the mind as well into that knowing of this is what we're doing and we're manifesting it. I don't know where that came from, but it flowed. I'm grateful. Back to you.
It flowed. It was a channeling. I receive. And it's also for those that do not get it wrong. What works for one person is not going to work for another. There's some people who are totally comfortable with not owning a business. They want to learn how to be, or where they can be of service in the work environment. They're looking to find out how they can be the embodying, how they can be the best employee, how they can help grow the company that they're working with, because they love the processes of the company and what the company means and what the company is trying to strive for to do. So find out who you are, and dive into embodying yourself. I had an individual tell me, I'm hearing everybody talk about, quit your job and start a business, but Sandee, is it wrong? I don't want to do that. So is something wrong with me? And I said, I said two things. I said, I can answer that for you based on my interpretation of what the question that you're asking me and the vibration that I'm feeling from you. Or I can say, sit at the seat of your soul and ask yourself that embodying question until you're ready to hear your answer for yourself. But if it's difficult, you've tried that already, then I can just tell you that one size doesn't fit all. And what worked for the person that told you that the business is the way to go for them, it's okay to sit and say, well, I don't want to own my own business. And then write out the list of why you don't. And then embody that. That's all Ra is saying. And embody the learn, teach, and the teach, learn. Embody the part where you're the teacher, and then at the same time you can flip the 45 and be the student. I can say that I am very, very happy that I made the decision to retire 2 years early, because at first I thought I just had to, just keep on grinding. And then COVID was my catalyst that propelled me into making an early decision about retirement. It took me a good year and a half to realize, to embody that I was retired and I could sleep in if I wanted to. If I wanted to. I'm a morning person, so I love getting up in the morning. So sometimes I'm up at 3 in the morning meditating, or sometimes I sleep in. The latest I sleep in, what I call sleeping in, is 7:30. But guess what? I could do it. Has all my catalysts showed me that it's easy breezy? Nah. But I still sit and go, I'm worthy. That's all Ra is saying. Take what resonates and leave what doesn't. The questioner or ask, what is the plan for use of the catalyst of cancer? The divine wants me to read one more of these, and then we're going to flip to another session. Ra says, I am Ra. In many cases, catalyst is not used. Questioner, what is the plan for use of catalyst of cancer? Okay, so this is what Ra said, and this is why the questioner asked this question. The divine wanted me to go back. Ra says the catalyst, comma means Ra takes a pause, and says all catalyst is designed to offer experience. So situations and circumstances and catalysts and triggers and many other labels that we have are given to us for learning, expression, to dive into ourselves and ask ourselves a question: who do I want to be in this moment? Now, do we all do that? Probably no. Does the one true creator fault us for that? Hell to the no. The divine says, I am seeking me in your choices. This was your choice. Let me see how that feels. Explain it to me. Explain it to me. Your like, your dislike, your willingness to do or willingness not to do. These are expressions of your explanation to the divine. The questioner says, I am assuming that the plan for the logos is for positively and negatively polarized social memory complexes in fourth density and above. Can you tell me the purpose of the plan for these types of social memory complexes with respects to Coulomb law? That's spelled COULOMB-S law, or negative and positive electrical polarities, or in any way that you can. Ross says, this instrument grows weary. So the instrument that Ra is channeling through is tired, and that body needs to rest. We shall speak with you again. We may indicate the possibility without further harm to this instrument, and approximately 2 sessions per your weekly period until these weeks of potential for attacks and presence are low. Okay. So Ra is taking into account that the vessel needs rest. The questioner says, only is there anything that we can do to make the instrument more comfortable or improve the contact? Ross says, supporting the instrument well, and the instrument remains steady in its purpose. You are conscientious. All is well. We ward you where they're using different words, the spelling. We ward, W-A-R-D, you wear, W-A-R-E, of any laxity regarding the arrangement or orientation of the apprentice. I am Ra. I leave you, my friends, in love and light of the one infinite creator. Go forth, therefore, rejoicing in the power and the peace of the one true creator, Adonai. The one true creator, Adonai. Back to you, Marcus.
So that does it for book 2, huh?
Yes, that's where, well, there
Wow.
is a couple of more things that the divine is going to, the divine has already told me that as we start up on book 3, we are going to incorporate some of the balance of book 2. Sorry about that. I got a call that came in. It's
Sounds
you
cool.
know, the
Wow.
our catalysts. This is what the divine wants to share for me. I'm sorry, they keep trying to call. That's interesting.
No worries.
I've got it on silent, but I don't know why my phone is ringing. We'll work on that later. The divine wants you to know that your catalysts, your triggers, all the things that we can so-called complain about are for teaching. It's hard to believe that, because we're taught to say, why me? Every time something shows up and it doesn't feel good, or it happens to trip us up. And the divine wants me to use this example. We have been taught to use credit cards. We have been taught. Better example. I'll use myself as an example. When I was a single mother and I had to maneuver from paycheck to paycheck, I was taught that, hey, put it on a credit card. You need to buy the kids new clothes, put it on the credit card. Make sure you pay minimum amount due, but put it on a credit card. You need to finally buying a new couch because the old one kind of took a dive, put it on a credit card. That's how I raised my kids, on plastic. But then I got to do the woe is me when that shit kind of became the catalyst that kept me in victim mode. Right? But the catalyst was there to teach me a lesson. So for a time, I was, woe is me. How am I going to get out this shit? Why is this, every time I'm almost there, something else happens that I have to, it pulls me back in. Till I decided at what I considered a young single mother age, that, I had to do bankruptcy. Woe is me. Now that looks bad. Now that, what are people going to think? Blah, 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 But the catalyst teaches you a lesson. It opens up a new door. I had to be the one to decide if I was going to step through it or not. I had to be the one that decided that I didn't want to be a victim to that anymore. And stepping through that, I had to make discernments about cutting up credit cards and not using them. Now, that was my choice. I had to start learning that I am currency. I am the vibration of currency, and all forms of currency are attracted to me. I'm not saying that shit was easy. It wasn't. So sometimes your catalysts, sometimes your triggers, they're not meant to be easy breezy, but this is why you have feelings that tell you where you want to be. Case in point, everybody tired themselves out with all the chaos back and forth about voting and whatnot. But you were given feelings to decide who you liked or who you wanted or how you were going to vote or if you were going to vote at all. When you got triggered by something, you made a decision or you made a judgment. Either way, you did something, you reacted because of your feelings towards it. These are your catalysts. Your learn, teach, your teach, learn. No right or wrong to it. The person delivering the trigger isn't necessarily the bad person. We're just taught to focus on that person instead of focusing on ourselves and going in and even asking ourselves if we need to be fixed or not even be fixed, who we want to be as we become aware that, oh, that triggered me. Oh, I didn't like the way that felt. Oh, I want to change that. Where did that come from? How far back, how long have I been holding on to a certain situation or circumstance that has been layered up from moment to moment to moment to moment till somebody walks through the door, says something that triggers you and you feel icky all over. I'm not saying that you have to stick in it, but you have to acknowledge it. I don't usually like to say you have to, but here I'll put this way: you could acknowledge it. Then it makes it your choice, just like Ross says. It's your choice to acknowledge why you feel the way you feel about something so strongly that you want to turn and run from it, and you can't hightail it fast enough, or you get stuck in the quicksand and it keeps pulling you down because you keep resisting. Take what resonates and leave what doesn't.
I would like to invite everybody that is live with us. I'd like to invite you guys to grab your journals. If you're somebody that likes to journal. And I'm going to kind of slide us into a semi-practice, so to say. And I'll give you guys a minute to grab your journals if you're going to grab them. And with these journals, what we're going to do is, at your own free will, of course, we're going to do a self-scan. We're going to do a self-examination of our being. And I'm just going to invite you to take a scan through your mind and your mental energy. Do you have anything that has been clogging up your thoughts or your mental energy? Anything that's been causing tension on the mind as well? Is there any attachments to the past or to the future that's been really draining you from the present? And then lastly, with the mental, is there any limited beliefs or programming that we wish to no longer hold within our subconscious pattern? So as you self-reflect and self-examine on this for yourself, feel free to journal out anything that you can identify within that field. And just write it out neutrally. No judgment, no ill feeling, just neutrally writing out the experience. And then as we continue, and of course, take your own time, take your own pace. we'll then move into the emotional body. And with the emotional body, we're going to take a self-examination of, are there any emotional attachments that I have that are causing perhaps codependency or even narcissistic-like behaviors from me? And if so, what is it? Is it a person, place, or thing that is continuing to trigger these behaviors in me? And then, is there anywhere where I may be a little wounded in my emotional energy? Maybe a little scarred, a little traumatized, a little frightened, afraid of being seen, or afraid of having intimacy in real relationship. And then along with that, do you feel like you're easily getting tired? Do you feel like you just don't have that vital life force energy throughout the day? And of course, have you had bouts of depression? Have you been over anxious? And if any of this resonates for you, just neutrally, as an observer, journaling this out into our paper at our own free will. And then lastly, spiritually, we're going to take a self-examination of our spiritual connection. And have we felt lost in our purpose on earth or in our human life? Or have we felt like we could not have any faith or any trust in a higher power or in a creator? Or are we having a hard time seeing and feeling the oneness connection that we have with other human beings and other animals and other elements of life? And then lastly, are we having feelings of distrust and feelings of emptiness, feelings of thinking that we're alone and separate from God, the source, creator, separate from all others and human beings? And if we're experiencing any of these, feel free to journal them out. And then as we journal these out and reflect, I'd like for us to set an intention to go with these. What is an intention that you'd like to have to umbrella your mind, emotions, and spiritual energies right now? Is it peace? Is it harmony? Is it healing? Is it balance? Is it activation? Is it grounding? Whatever you feel authentically to you, feel free to journal that down. And if you guys want to, feel free to put in the chat or in the comments anything that you feel comfortable with sharing. You are absolutely free to share and connect a little bit with community. So now as we go through all that, I'm now going to invite us to kind of move through and clear a little bit of this energy now that we have built it up, kind of scooped it out to the surface. So if you may, if you'd like to receive, I'll guide us through a little bit of a breathwork journey for about maybe 5 minutes. And this breathwork journey will help us just release and integrate these energies that we are focusing on. So feel free to get comfortable. And it's only going to be a very, very brief breathwork session, about 5 minutes. So you can sit or lay down, whichever one. And if you're going to sit, just try to have your back as straight as you can. If you have a physical ailment, of course, just do what you can to the best of your abilities. If you're laying down, just having your legs straight, not crossed. And then relaxing our hands, making sure we're not balling our fists. Relaxing our shoulders down by the side. And relaxing our jaw, making sure we're not clenching those teeth. Boy, we'd be surprised when we're clenching our teeth. And then we're going to bring focus to the breath. And this breath, we're going to begin with breathing in through the mouth. As we breathe in through the mouth, we're expanding our stomach, beginning to expand and activate the warmth within our gut. And then we're also going to be breathing out of the mouth as well, releasing the stomach. So we're going to be breathing in through the mouth, expanding the stomach. Breathing out of the mouth, releasing the stomach. In through the mouth. Out through the mouth. In through the mouth. Out through the mouth. So it's continuing to stay in a fluid, continuous rotation of in through the mouth and out through the mouth. And just find that rhythm with yourself fluidly without stopping in between. And do it at your own pace. Just continue to cycle that breath. Now I'm going to do some affirmations for us while we continue to do the breathing. You can think of the breath almost like a scoop. It's just scooping up the energy and it's just lifting it up out of your field. And as it scoops, it may intensify, it may be jittery, it may be electrical feeling, but it is scooping it up and scooping it to the surface for you to feel. So you may alchemize. So with every breath, continuing to scoop that energy up and out of our field, staying with the breath through the feelings. And I'm going to go through some affirmations. I am ready to release any mental energies that are causing imbalances and blockages. I am in balance with my mental energies, with wholeness. I am in balance with my mental energies and wholeness. Staying with the breath, continuing to circulate. Now making our way to our emotional body. I am feeling authentically the feelings that I'm feeling is my power. I embrace my power. I listen to the wisdom of my emotions. I am safe to release my emotions. Continuing to circulate the breath. I embrace peace into my emotional field. I embrace groundedness into my emotional field. And I embrace unconditional love, my emotional field. Clearing all pathways for fluid, conscious energy and motion. And then we make our way over to our spiritual self, continuing to breathe. I am releasing any delusions and embodiments of separation. I am embracing my uniqueness as an individual in connection with the all. I am embracing my purpose of my birthright. I am acknowledging the Christ within me, within everybody else around me. I open my channels to my ancestors, my guides, Law of One members, to be present and to serve in their totality as the I am. Circulating the breath. And then bringing in one more final big old deep breath. One last big scoop of any energy that needs to be released. And then breathe it all out through the mouth. And now we shall be balanced, we shall be grounded through our etheric cord of wholeness, through our center. And may we anchor and harmonize the planetary grid of Earth with all of our dimensional layers of heaven in our being and bodily form, and harmony and fluidity. And so it shall be. Ashe. May return back to your body and open your eyes, move your body. Take your time and stay with the breath if you need. Thank you. Ooh-wee.
Ooh-wee. Atakia. Te sheshola ko untai. Malaku ane hese. Malaku shushuno toko unai here na yem de ko share na. Yesono ko unai here. Ese soloko I. The spirit of the living one true creator knows that you are its offspring. It moves through you, in you, and as you, and it does not judge you. Malikia so sono to I am tai im to share no to I am. You are a singular manifestation of a cosmic unfolding of the one true creator. Malikia shi sholoku o dai im te ishi shudoku untai. Live in your own original agenda. You're the only one that knows what that is. Sit at the seat of me because I am you. You are the original idea held by the conscious mind of the infinite. You're aware of it. Just flow through it. Don't be afraid to stand tall, to step out, to be original, to be unique. You ask for every door to be open, but yet you will not walk through it. I'm always listening and leading and fulfilling. But you won't step through. It's okay. I will hold the door open. You are magnificent expressions of that I am. And I move through you. Alekim tissue, Shuruku Udai, Maluku Ushi Shana. Airtime te ear, Shanotoku Udai ear, Naki Esena. You are my artistry that stands before me in my mirror of me. I seek myself in you. Pateki Eshen, Holuko Ate, Senako Ate, Patekim Toshi Shenotaka E. Patekim Tochi. Take what resonates, leave what doesn't. Where you sit, I am. Where you stand, I am. Palikim toshie shino tota im te sholoko ujena teki popa pakiana yesena. Bashie shonoko ashenota tia yeshinoku. One love. Wholeness. Whew. Wholeness.
Wholeness and balanced love. Thank you all for tapping in. Thank you for all of you that participated in the comments, especially on the Instagram side. And as always, feel free to leave your feedback, share your knowledge in the comments, either live or on the replay. And you'll see us again next Wednesday. Next Wednesday, we'll be taking an episode that will be a little different, as we are going to be in between book 2 and 3. And we have planned to open that space next week for some community, for some of those that have really been following along this journey and want to reflect upon any of these downloads and transmissions of Ra. And if you're interested in that, just reach out to myself or Sandee and just let us know. And we'll see if you resonate and have you on next week, next Wednesday at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern. So you can come live with us and talk about some of the raw material. And then we will then be navigating into book 3 the following week after. And I'm excited for that. I cannot wait to see what other mysteries and such profound downloads about different dimensions, different aspects of being human. And also one of my favorite things too is the type of characters and archetypes and different people that we get to hear about throughout history and what their soul origin essence was about. Such beautiful stuff. I really love it, man. Can't wait.
Can't wait. I'm excited. I'm so excited. I just can't hide it. I'm about to lose my mind and I think I like it. Come on, Ra. Come on in there.
I love when you say that.
Right? You know, the divine, the unknown is just only unknown because we, the entity that is us, just hasn't made it known yet. We haven't picked up the call and said, who's there?
Hello?
Hello?
Wait a minute. It's just an echo of me.
Well, while I've got me on the phone, let me ask me some questions. You think it's a kind of a little silly, but that's kind of what it's kind of like. We've been told as a whole community all around the world that we are just body and we're just mind. And then we've been told that we only use less than a fourth of our mind. When we use so much more, we're just not aware of it. We haven't been aware of it. Now that you're becoming aware of it, there's more to just dive into as we free the unknown of our mind. The universe, we find out more and more as not just the raw materials, but Bashar and many other channelers that are coming forth that are taking it from out there and bringing it into us so that we can just deep dive into us. The universe is so massive inside of us. So next Wednesday, we're going to dive into book 1 and book 2. And if you have any questions, if you want to have any conversations about what you've learned or what you've taken in or how it's changed your perception of things that you were that you had someone had told you, had a dogma about, or consistently believing something a certain way, and now you've kind of woken up to, oh, could it possibly be this way? How do I assimilate that? Ask a question. There is no wrong question. There is no dumb question. There is just a question. And then you get to take what resonates and leave what doesn't. And most of it, you're asking your higher being a question. And your higher being is giving you the answer, and then you're going to share it with us. No wrong answers either. No wrong thought process. So we're offering that moment next week. Next Wednesday, 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're going to have us a little party. It's called a flow state party. I like that. Thank you for joining us. One love. Thank you for allowing me to share a little bit of me. One love.
And thank you, everybody, as well. One love. Have a blessed night.
If you're into wellness but love good food too, don't miss this event. Here's why you'll want to be there. This Saturday, November 16th, join us at the Roots to Wings Art Gallery on Front Street in Dayton, Ohio, for the first ever Divine Alignment Holistic Wellness Space. Hosted by Marcus, aka Christolight, and Heather Thomas, this event is all about exploring the fascinating world of chakras. Learn what chakras are, how they connect to our multi-dimensional lives, and even discover which foods can help balance them. And that's not all. We've got a beautiful blend of breathwork and meditation lined up, perfectly complementing the educational experience. But wait, there's more. Enjoy a potluck-style dinner where everyone brings a delicious dish to share. It's the perfect way to connect, nourish your body and soul. The event is donation-based, running from 5 to 9 p.m. EST. Have questions? Reach out to Marcus Christolight. Don't miss this chance to realign, rejuvenate, and relish in good company. See you there.